Hello everyone, good evening. This is Praneeth from StarAgile. Welcome to the webinar on Scope of DevOps in 2020 and beyond. Today our presenter is Mr. Chaitanya Gajula. He is an international trainer with 20 plus years of industry experience. He trained more than 5,000 professionals and delivered more than 10,000 hours of training on various tools and technologies including DevOps. Without any further delay, I'll just pass on the proceedings to Mr. Chaitanya. Mr. Chaitanya, you can proceed with the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Praneeth. Welcome everyone on behalf of StarAgile for the DevOps webinar. Before I start off, am I loud and clear? Please confirm the chat window. Thank you. So I see the responses coming in. So let me start off. So what I'm going to cover today is we're going to talk about what is DevOps, and we'll learn about why DevOps is required, DevOps technology trends in 2020, and also what is the role of a DevOps practitioner. We'll end up with the questions and also talk about the course curriculum, what we offer. This will be the agenda for today. Just give me a minute. So first is, what is DevOps? So DevOps is all about how you could have more of automation and improved collaboration between the various team members. So for example, Agile is more into software practices, wherein how you could create your code and how to do a unit test, and then how to do a build and then release it. But the Agile practices was not much into, very much into automation, as well as it was not much into collaboration, wherein different teams can work together. It concentrated more from development point of view, but not from the deployment or much of automation or how people can work together. This is where DevOps technology, which has come in the past 3 years, we can talk about, is not only talks about collaboration, but also improved collaboration between different teams. This is what DevOps is all about. So DevOps is not wherein dev and operations, it also includes other teams wherein they work in silos. You want them to work together. So it means that you would want the teams to collaborate and work together and update the information, the task, and ensure that they all work together like a culture. So DevOps is not only the tools we're talking about. So DevOps talks about the culture, wherein how the different team members can work together. Second, DevOps is not only within a dev and ops team. It is might be between teams of quality, build team, all the teams, they need to work together. So what helps once people started moving on to DevOps? So companies have seen that once they started using DevOps, they have seen lots of changes in how quickly they can respond to changes. And Agile and DevOps go on hand in hand. So Agile is more into practices, DevOps is more into culture and the tools. There are lots of tools within the market. So these are the specific tasks which code, build, test, and other people will do it. And these are the specific operation tasks. So let's understand wherein if people can work together, how effective it would be. That is what is your communication, collaboration, integration, automation is all about. So I'll be giving some time for you all for the questions. So I'll let you know when to ask questions. You can ask me all the questions at that time. So why DevOps is required? So these days, we have observed that lots of companies, they want the changes to be done faster. And there's lots of competition between different companies. How to ensure that the company is doing the right job? This is where you want to do all the back-end job of the testing, deployment, development, everything in the backend, so that once your product release or application release to customer, it must not have any issues. And hence, in DevOps, you see all continuous. So the 5 cycles of DevOps are continuous development, wherein the software, might be .NET or Python, whatever programming code you do using Eclipse tool or any IDE tool, you want to test it rigorously to ensure that it is satisfying all the customer requirement. Then at testing, wherein again you go check on this using unit test, interface test, and ensure that it is done. So if any test during the testing, if any errors are observed, it again immediately sent back to development team. So before it goes to next stage, it ensures that all the tests, everything is done in the specific cycle, hence you see continuous. Continuous integration is, let's consider that multiple developers work on the same code. So how do they integrate the code? This is where you can commit to a central repository like GitHub or Bitbucket, and you can start integrating the code. And deployment is all about how you deploy the applications. So once the job is built and compiled, the specific format like Java format, it has to be built, might be on a physical servers, might be on VMs or containers. This is all about how you can make use cases of using your Dockers and Kubernetes, and also using Chef, Puppet, Ansible, all the latest technologies using which you're doing deployment. This is where DevOps has brought in lots of changes. And the end, once it is deployed, to satisfy or meet the customer's expectation, you need to have a SLA. You want to use tools like Nagios tools, CloudWatch, ELK Stack, and these tools would help you to ensure that you are meeting a customer expectation and any outages. So DevOps is all about these 5 tools. You would still see more continuous, might be continuous project management, other ones, but DevOps is all about continuous. Specific to technology and talking about IT, these are the 5 things which are more technically we'll talk about during the course also. This is what is your DevOps. Now let me talk about a simple flow of DevOps, how exactly a DevOps cycle or in the companies it works. So product owners or pre-sales team, they are the front end to the customers. They get a requirement. For example, you want to deploy a site in which they can host a book, something like a train tickets, let's consider. So they get the requirement of what customer wants. They pass on the requirements to development team, wherein they understand how to get in the satisfied. So they prepare the code, might be using Java or .NET, different platforms. They use different tools. So they use tools like Eclipse or Visual Studio or C++, whatever, they either on the system or use IDE tools using which they can easily prepare the code. How do they share the code with others, to the entire team? So you want to start using tools like Git, and we have SVN, TFS. These are, in these days, normally every company, they're moving on to distributed version control system. It means you can easily version your code. As have lots of changes happening every week and lots of customer feedback, developers need to make changes and hence need to have a proper version controls system. It is very much good. And how do they share? They update the commits or the changes to a central repository like GitHub. And from the GitHub, Jenkins could take in the code and do a build and test. Apart from these tools, Jenkins and Bamboo, you still have tools like Maven tools, other common tools for build. You can either use those standalone tools or you can integrate with Jenkins with those tools. So this is all about integration. After integration comes to your testing. Okay, either testing comes here or here, both the places you can do. The test includes a functional testing like unit testing, then you can do integration testing. And before you release to production in the pre-prod, you want to perform something called as performance test. So performance test is all about how the server into which you are going to deploy the application is stable, can withstand so many number of users. Is it response is coming faster? Those type of tests you do in your testing includes functional and non-functional tests. And once these tests are done, it is released to production, wherein the customer starts accessing the specific application. And to ensure that SLA is met, you might want to start using monitoring tools, start from Nagios, ELK Stack, CloudWatch, and all of them. So you need to be aware as a DevOps, these days, all the companies, they're moving the DevOps team. So you need to know on a complete cycle of what happens in DevOps. and you might want to be strong. For example, if you're a developer, you might want to be strong on this. If you're a deployment member, you want to be strong on this, but you need to know what is happening each and every cycle. And these are not the only tools which is being used. There are lots of tools in DevOps. For example, apart from Jenkins, you have Bamboo. Then you have TeamCity, lots of tools. It all depends on the company, what they want to use. But these are quite predominant because these are open source. So Git is again open source. Jenkins is open source. Eclipse you can easily install. And Docker is open source, lots of tools you can use in the market. So let me stop here before I pose the next topic. Any questions on what is DevOps and why DevOps? You can ask me in the chat window. So Subrata has a question.
Able to hear me?
Hi Subrata.
Yeah. So I am basically working on PHP MySQL platforms, not in .NET and Java. So when we considering these DevOps tools, so after say maybe if we have a JUnit or PHP unit as a unit testing tool, so that can be integrated with Jenkins.
Okay, you need to install external plugins for it. Yes, so you have functionality of Jenkins. So Jenkins and all these tools are basically Java-based tool. So in case if you want to work with other tools, you need to install plugins. So you have something.
So and another,
Yes.
Another question is where actually Dockers and Kubernetes and Terraform comes into play.
Okay, so Dockers, Kubernetes, all this comes in here in deployment. And you also use in Jenkins. In Jenkins, there's something called pipeline in which you update everything. So for the pipeline in Jenkins and for deployment of your servers, wherein let's consider that you want to deploy on 3 machines on a Dockers. So for this, you want to use something like Kubernetes, which manages different types of container platform. Terraform also you use it wherein you can use infrastructure code for deployment. This is where you use your Terraform, Dockers, and Kubernetes predominantly. But you also use the concept of Dockers and Dockers when you work with your Jenkins so that you can build the images quite easily. These are 2 stages.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. So can you have a question here? So a question by Nikhil Konda. Does DevOps eliminate manual testing? Yes, it is. I can say yes, you can say. So what do you mean by manual testing in here, Nikhil? Can you be more specific? Yes, Nikhil, what do you mean manual testing?
Yeah, since everything is automated, right? So just wanted to know whether this DevOps concept do not need any manual testing effort at all.
Okay, yes. So DevOps always talks about that you want to do automation. That is, yes, you are right. It's always looking, for example, you might want to use tools as LMEM tools, other tools, or automation. So manual is something which DevOps doesn't appreciate. They always say that you want to go for automation tools. So you need to start upgrading to automation tools. Or you want to use tools which is integrated with your, for example, instead of using JUnit standalone, you want to use JUnit within your IDE. You need not go and configure everything in here. You just use your IDE tool of Eclipse, and inside that you can choose option of JUnit new test case, and you can start using this. So you want to start using these sort of practices, not start everything by scratch. Yeah.
Just you mean say only DevOps encourages only unit testing, not kind of functional and regression.
All the tests. So for example, in here I'm talking about unit tests, integration tests, regression tests. All could be achieved. Even your non-functional tests like a performance test. Everything else you need to do it. See, it is not that DevOps is going to skip some. You cannot skip unit test, integration test, right? It still need to work. But how do you achieve them? How do you do that? That is what DevOps is all about. It is not taking away the practice of Agile. It is still Agile, is still there. But how can you automate it? How can you ensure that people work together? among all the teams. That is what the DevOps is all about. Hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Thank you. So question by Karthik is, to learn DevOps, does we need to learn any programming language? It is not a mandate, Karthik, but the knowledge of programming knowledge on Java would help you. Depends again. The course would be more on a Java level. In case if you a Java programmer want to learn Java, or in case you're a different one, you might want to learn other one. It will help you, but not a mandate. But you might want to start looking into learning like Python and other scripting tools for sure. Thanks, Karthik. Any other questions before I proceed to the next topic? So I see 1 minute. Hi, Pratik.
Yeah, hi Chaitanya. So
Yes, tell me,
my
Pratik.
question is actually I'm working on microservices architecture. Recently, we have
Okay.
migrated our systems on microservices architecture, and we are using OpenShift for now. And if we want to migrate the same architect, now we are using virtual servers, okay, for the same. But if we want to migrate that architecture on cloud, let us say AWS, so how to migrate that, or how to integrate the microservices? Currently, it is with Kubernetes on the OpenShift based platform on the top of it. So if you migrate the same architecture on AWS, so the orchestration part is still with the Kubernetes, or AWS has its own or services like API services that AWS have?
Yeah, so AWS has a service called EKS, which is Elastic Kubernetes Service, which is a platform as a service. So you can migrate to that service, or you can also migrate your services to EC2 in Amazon. But you need to manage everything. That's the infrastructure service. So in your use case, you want to migrate to EKS using various migration technologies, wherein server migration, application migration tools. Using that, you have to migrate. Which is something, yeah, this is one high level. You can migrate to a service called EKS, AWS EKS, which is a platform
EKS.
service.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chaitanya. Thanks.
welcome. So question between, what is the difference between DevOps and AWS? AWS is a cloud technology, and DevOps is a common word wherein developers and operations team work together. Did I answer your question, Sunil? So for teaching this course, I'm going to use AWS tools, for example, EC2 instances in the network. Any more questions? I think Subrata answered you. Yeah, any more question? You can raise again. Hi, Sunil, you might want to unmute from your end. Can we help to, yeah, hi, Sunil. I answered you.
Yeah,
Anything else more you want to add?
no, I want to know, is it DevOps and Jenkins, AWS both are same or any difference?
Both are different.
Uh-huh.
AWS is a cloud technology. DevOps is
Because
about the practice.
I'm working in PLM side as a backend support, like system admin. Is it suitable for me to learn DevOps?
So what's your role? You work as a backend support. What do you support?
In Windchill PLM side?
Okay. So it is very much required these days as for DevOps
Like
because
I'm compatible with Linux, but Java I don't know. Can I learn DevOps?
see, Java, we are not going deep into it. For example, you are going to learn the concept of Git. Okay, how does it work? We're not going to concentrate on the programming in here. Okay, our objective is what is this tool is going to do? What is this tool is going to do? This tool can do. Basics of Java is required for understanding. Might be like what is a jar file, some dependencies, what are this, only those. You need not have a programming language. If you are able to just read about basics of C or C++, a few of them, that is fine. Otherwise, you not. For
Yeah,
example, these does
I
not
am
include at
aware of
all.
that C++.
That is
C++.
enough. That is enough. That is enough. That's more than
Good.
enough. For example, you will write a program for testing in Eclipse, like a return an integer, like a square for testing. Very simple programs will do it. We are not going to concentrate very much specific on programming this course. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Sunil. Hi, Subrata.
Yeah, I have another question over here. In the tools we are going to use, Chef, Puppet, these tools have their own native languages apart from Java, right?
Okay. Tell me.
So is there any difference between writing script in Chef or Maven or Ansible's
See, Chef
in
is
their
different.
native language?
See, Chef is a config management tool. You use Ruby DSL language. There's different
Yes.
purpose, complete different purpose. Your Chef is going to come in here. Your Maven is going to come here. This is a completely different. So Maven, you use your XML, you use a POM files, completely different, each of them. So you do
Yeah.
not want to relate.
Yeah. So my question is, as a DevOps person, we should have knowledge on those scripting languages also, right?
So where is scripting? I mean, you just need to know what is a POM file. For example, in a POM file, you need to know about, because for POM file, you have a template. For Maven, you have templates, correct? You just type in MBN architect template, it's going to create it. So you just need to know what is the group ID name, a project ID, and the format, nothing more than that. Because you use template, you're not going to write in templates in here. You just need to know the how to generate template and use this 3 options and enter that. It's going to create a template for you.
Okay. Okay. So
Getting it? Yeah.
not much actually scripting skills or programming skills is required. My question is that.
So for doing this course, not much. But in case if you want to completely become expert, you might want to start learning on those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in real life scenarios, it is required to implement
Again,
those.
it depends on your skill. Are you a developer? Are you a deployment? What is your skill? What is yours? Depends on your skills. For example, if you're a developer, the expectation that you need to know more of programming. That is there always.
Okay.
Yeah. So you need to enhance the skills. But for learning this concept, it is not a must that you need to know Java programming in deep. Okay, getting it. For example, you're not going to learn about OOPS concepts and those things, all these things. That they're not going to that extent. Just will write a simple program of Java and do a test. Similarly, you build the code during the Maven project and you're going to build the code. Then it's all about the process. You're going to learn more about the process and the technical stuff for these. We're not going to go very specific to Java or Python. No, we're going to, because people are going to be all type of people. I cannot go very specific to only these. Getting it? Yeah. So it'll be a more of the flow.
Here you are actually taking Java as a programming language for any application deployment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it can be .NET, it can be PHP, it can be Python, it can be anything, right?
Anything, but the process is the same. For example, I would use Java IDE in Eclipse interface. In Visual Studio, use something else. The process is the same. Only thing is, you need to use different files. The process is the same. For example, you're still writing the code, then do it, all those things. Yeah, but why do you concentrate Java? Because DevOps is all about more of a Java. Initially, they came, right? Jenkins, all these are tools, and hence normally the base is always Java. And when you learn your DevOps concepts.
Okay.
Thank you, Subrata.
Thank you.
Hi, Swaroop.
Hi. So this is Shri Swaroop. I have around over 15 years of experience, and I was more into the acting as like a Scrum Master. Not 100%, but though designation was not a Scrum Master, I was like leading a team of like 6 to 10 engineers, and was doing like a mini role of Scrum Master. But now I also want to be jump into the some technical side as well, because majority companies are looking forward of safe, and so that is why I am interested in this DevOps as such. But what I want to know, as I mean, some engineers, some people already ask like, and you said like you don't need lot of development background as such, but then what I have found into the market, people like me having 15 years of experience, companies are not like considering for the DevOps. Is that true, or I can still jump into the DevOps role and will be able to grab the opportunity? Will that be suitable for me?
See, it all depends on very specific use case, correct? For example, you need to prove to them that you're good. How do you prove to them? So you need to prove to them they're good, wherein they ask you real scenario-based questions, correct? You need to answer that. That is what is expected in the interview. If you're able to answer that, for example, they ask you a scenario about there is this problem with some issue. How do you troubleshoot it using, for your example, Docker or Kubernetes? That real-time experience knowledge they're asking. So even if you do not have, after this course, for example, we are going to give a project for you, using which you can get in the real-time knowledge. But I don't think anywhere they're going to say 15 years. No, I cannot comment about that. You are expected to have good knowledge on the tools and give them confidence that you can work on real-time projects. That is what is expected.
Yeah, I mean, because you won't get the experience unless you get a real-time projects. And right now, let's consider we complete this training. So then, how do we move on basically to get some hands-on experience? Will you be giving some
Yeah, we give a
something else?
project to you. We give a project to you, which I'm going to tell you, and then you brainstorm the project based on one. And also StarAgile is going to give you, once you complete, we're going to give a 6 months, what do you call, experience with you, that you've done the course and you have got 6 months experience. That is part of the training. I'm going to talk about it. So for example, the last slide, which I'm going to talk about, it is, we're going to provide you a 6 month certificate to showcasing expertise. And we're going to say you that you also get a certificate from us stating that you've done the course. And since StarAgile is quite established, people know that you have done a course, and also they all think about that you have got from a good trainer. Yeah, it all depends on from where you do, how much you learn, and how to do your project. It also depends on your personal skills as to how quickly you can learn for doing the interview. Yeah.
Okay, because I heard about you talking about cloud and those also, but I know little bit Java, but I don't know anything about cloud. So it's like I mean, I'm pure layman in terms of the cloud aspect.
I understand that isn't in the course, which I'm going to talk about. The course will end up by learning a brief about cloud. So this course is going to talk about all this. And instead of working on-prem without a cloud, how can you get the same, how can you do on the cloud? That is what we're going to end up by doing this course. So it is not AWS DevOps, but it will end up by learning about how you can also start using cloud on, you can use the services. So I think once I talk about, you'll understand more.
Okay, and this 6 month certificate, what you told, like, so that particular project, will it take 6 months for us to complete?
No, not like that. You can complete the project. I mean, it's you can complete the project within a week, which I'm going to give, but StarAgile is going to give you a certificate of what your knowledge, what you have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So now I think Karthik was trying to reach. Let me first take Karthik and then Kalai Selvan. Hi, Karthik.
Yes, actually, I have a work experience of around 6 years in manual testing. So I lost my job due to COVID-19, and I am unemployed from April 1st. so I didn't get any opportunities currently. So I'm trying to join for DevOps. So how much time I required to learn this one, and how I efficiently crack the interview? Like that is the intention for me, sir. That is the question.
Yeah, that is depends on you. For example, this course is not daily. Okay, it's a weekend. So for everything you learn, you have 1 week of time. Okay, we are not going a rapid here. So you're going to get sufficient time between every module. Okay, that is one. Second one is you get recordings from StarAgile. After every training day, you get a recording which you can refer. This is how we can learn. And we also have a WhatsApp group in which you can be part of during the course and you can ask any questions. So we are trying all our best for you guys to learn. And I also give you reference pointers where you can go learn more. But you need to learn what is being taught and to put in efforts. Then it helps you. Getting it?
Sir, that 100% effort will be done from our side, sir.
Yeah. So that's what. So if you're able to learn everything fine, then who is going to reject you? Correct? So you have the confidence also that you have learned the technology.
No, why? Because why I am asking this question is since our current background is manual testing and switching to DevOps, and we don't have hands-on experience in the current environment and the current system.
Everyone, it is common scenario.
Yeah.
Not, for example, DevOps is coming in past three years, right? Nobody knows all these things. Nobody knows everything. I mean, there are, but people are evolving. Before, some guys are very good in this, but they're not very good in this. Correct? Always the difference is there. So now, recently, which is past 2 years, you can see that everyone, like a full stack engineers, all this thing we're talking about, right? People are looking for multiple technologies.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Karthik. Hi, Kari Selvan.
Hello. Actually, I'm from PLM domain, Siemens. Okay, but we are working on migration and implementation. Okay, so I want to automate through script. Okay, somewhat we are not. I'm not able to do. Okay, I'm doing in the manually. So it is useful for DevOps for automation like scripting.
Yes, it is useful. It is useful.
Okay.
So not only testing, you'll also learn how to integrate testing with your Jenkins. It is not that always you want to use the individual tools, correct? You can also use test reports within your Jenkins
Yes,
using
test report.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you'll also learn about how to use pipeline, right? So
no, it is possible to automate the implementation also.
What implementation?
Like
complete?
Yeah, complete implementation. Like we are implementing the team center. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So we are doing manually, step by step. Yeah, I want to automate those things also.
Yeah, so you can create a Jenkins pipeline in which you can say that as soon as you commit the code to GitHub, take the code, do a build of it.
Okay.
Then do a test of this, then deploy that, and then release. You can do a Jenkins pipeline.
Oh no, it is not a code; it is a script, like XML file.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So what is the script in here? The output is an application, correct?
Yeah, output is application.
Yeah, so you want to use Jenkins pipeline for everything if you want. Okay. So only for this, if you want, you can also use tools for testing, which is going to help you. But total application you want to release it, then you want to use Jenkins pipeline. Yeah, thanks, Hari Selvan.
Yeah, that's it.
So, Gaurav, I can't unmute you. 1 second. Yes, Gaurav. Gaurav, you had a question? Yes, Gaurav.
My question is, I am the .NET guy, so we can use the DevOps.
Yes,
with cloud is, what is the use of cloud?
So use of cloud means you need not deploy everything. For example, if you want to do a test, you have some test tools ready available in cloud. If you want to work with Git, for example, GitHub, you have a repository within your Amazon cloud. It's more secure, more easy to manage. And since, for example, if you have your server in Amazon and your repository in GitHub, different companies, right? If you're going to have everything in one, it's going to be more secure, more easier to manage integration. All this you can achieve. So more security, more platform as a service where Amazon is going to give you. For example, Docker, instead of you managing Dockers, a manager, they manage the Docker manager for you. So maintenance becomes easy. So more ease with which you can work with your services.
Okay. So what is the TF? How can you use the
TFS.
TFS in DevOps?
TFS is very similar to Git. So if you have a code on a system, how do you share to central repository? You can take the code, which is in a system, add it to your Git or TFS, the folder or project, and then commit it to your GitHub. The Git and TFS very similar to your local version of your tools.
Okay.
Thank you, Gaurav. Okay, Sarup, did I answer your question? One more question.
Yeah, Chaitanya, I have
Yeah.
one question. Let us say we are migrating our DevOps architecture from of the microservices from let us say our virtual servers to the AWS. So what will be the major advantages to the organizations to migrate this architecture from virtual based servers to the AWS cloud?
This is very specific to us. This is not part of the webinar. Please understand. This webinar is all about what is DevOps and what learning. Correct? So migration is something
Yeah.
which is not part of this. Yes. All right. Thank you. Hi, Arjun. Arjun, could you please unmute yourself? Okay, team, I'm going ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I was on mute. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
One second. Ritu, Jenkins is a tool using which you can do a complete cycle of DevOps. You can use Jenkins. Yes, Arjun.
Yeah, hi there. I'm sorry I joined a little late. I was late by 15 minutes, but I have a quick question. It's about I just finished my Azure Administrator 104 on in the month of July, and I've been working on cloud migration for about 2 years now. But it will, I just recently finished the Microsoft Azure certification, but I was just already working on it for about 2 years. Now I've seen that the next best step is to get into Azure DevOps. But I have like a double thought about it. I'm quite confused if Azure DevOps is the right thing to choose, or would this be a right thing? Because when I check online portals and a lot of opportunities outside, a lot of companies are looking for Ansible, Jenkins, and knowledge on code. That's another question.
Okay. See, every cloud provides DevOps, but this is the basics. Without knowing what is Jenkins, without knowing how Git works, it will be difficult for you. Hope you're getting it. So instead of you managing these yourself, these are easily managed in your cloud, as simple as it. So for example, when you write in a code, okay, you need not have so much of difficulty in your cloud. You can easily write your code. You have, for example, you need not even go to Eclipse. You have in tools like in cloud, AWS Cloud 9, in which there itself you have IDE. You can go inside write the code. So the ease with which you can work is easy, but you need to know what is Git, how does it work, because you have to integrate the code from a local. That is what is required.
True.
Any DevOps you learn, you need to know what is Jenkins, something like that, or Jenkins or TeamCity. You need to know what is Docker.
Okay.
Without that, you cannot understand AKS or ACS, because the base is required. That is what you learned in this course.
Okay, and just a follow-up question on that. Thanks for this answer. I'm not really a code. I'm not into development, neither have done coding before. I have an idea about Linux commands and some C commands, but I have not even really done a code or anything as such. Would you be teaching me about a code, or would it be okay? Like, I just need to know the overview of it and how it works. That's more than enough.
You just need to know a basic programming of a C or something like that. Just write a program. That's more than enough. We're not going to be very specific. Might be basics of JavaScript. Just want to know what JavaScript, that basic commands. That's it. Not more than that. This course is not very specific in programming. For example, when I teach Git, I don't even go to programming. I just say that you add 10 lines to a code. How do I commit it? General example. When do a test also, it's all here. This is all very basic. We're not going to very specific programming language. Might be you might have to know how to deploy a Tomcat server for Jenkins and what does JDK means. What does JDK means? But we are not going to touch the specifics to writing a program. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thanks. This is helpful.
Welcome. Welcome. So Ritu, they talked about this course is not very specific to any programming. Any code is fine. But if you want to enhance specific, you might want to learn more with this knowledge. Yeah, let me start with the next, then I'll answer all your questions. So let's understand the technology trends into 2020. What are things, changes you see in DevOps this year? So you would observe machine learning and AI as scope has increased, lots of jobs coming in, lots of applications, everything is moving on to automation. So AI machine learning, setting up AI machine learning is very, very difficult. So using a DevOps concept, for example, in your Dockers, you have Docker images. So you have a ready image ready for like a TensorFlow for machine learning or AI. You can easily get in the repository code also from GitHub. So it makes your deployment, release, everything for these also quite easy on-prem. If you want to integrate with your cloud, you have talked about ECS, EKS, using that you can easily work on these. So security, so DevSecOps, the term which company use, DevSecOps. So how do you integrate your security patterns with DevOps? It's called as DevSecOps. So you use tools like Terraform, wherein you can do an automation of your security tools, or you can use CloudFormation, or you can also use other tools of specific to vulnerability management. You can manage using with your security. And automations, again, here we can talk about how instead of deploying EC2 or a VM separately, for example, you can write in the configurations in a JSON or YAML file and have it updated. And since you have the templates, I can use the same template to deploy in different environments. And you can easily make changes if it's a code. And containers is all about containers. Everyone wants to save in cost. The VM cost is quite high compared to physical because the VM still has an OS. If you don't, for the OS, you need to have a license of it. And because the OS, there is a performance issue, it takes a longer time to boot. So why do you want to pay more? This is where you want to use containers in which the containers does not have an OS. It directly works on the host OS and easily portable. So let's consider that different teams are there, development team and test team, all of them. Each one make the changes and commit to a central repository. So it's going to make the work easy to release the applications. The last one is cloud. You want to start doing all this DevOps work on a cloud because cloud vendor will take in or manage many things for you. For example, they help you to secure your environment. They help you to manage a repository. They also help you to manage big components like in your Docker cluster I'm talking about. They help you to manage the manager. You just go ahead and create the images. So it makes your work easy. So any cloud, AWS or Azure, any cloud you can go. So DevOps has brought in all these changes, and hence you need to start learning for DevOps for sure. If you do not know DevOps in IT these days, it means that you're odd man out. That is what is the trend these days. And what does people of DevOps what is DevOps practitioner? DevOps practitioner is a person who is expert in DevOps. So he's an expert in the complete of all the concepts in DevOps, starting from Git, GitHub, and Jenkins, and all of them. It's a complete cycle. So what is the work of a DevOps practitioner? In case you become a DevOps practitioner or an expert, you would be starting to work with pipelines. So pipelines, you're talking about Jenkins pipelines, wherein I can define all these tasks as a project, as a job, and I can put everything into one pipeline task and I can build it. You can release it without any human intervention, and you could be notified when you make the changes. That is one. And anytime you'll also be aware of how to manage 1,000 servers. For example, using Chef and Puppet tools. If something, how do you deploy applications onto it? And how do you manage servers, maintain servers on cloud, either using physical servers or nowadays everything is Docker. So you learn about concepts of Dockers and Kubernetes. In monitoring tools, Nagios is there, but still we have latest tools like ELK Stack, CloudWatch tools. And how to upgrade. Because always DevOps practitioner is not that you today learn, tomorrow you get some new technology. So once you learn this concept of the course, you will also learn about how to increase your knowledge. You cannot, DevOps is all about the change. Every day some tool is coming in. Yes. So again, for you guys, might be you might be more of a developer. For example, if you're a developer, you might want to concentrate more on this. But you need to know on a high level what is happening completely. Because the expectations from DevOps team is, in case if a developer is absent or not available, you might be expected to do some task of his emergency. That is expected as a DevOps team member. Now, you might be a deployment guy, but you need to know what is happening in here. And also, you can easily understand the roles and responsibilities once you understand what each one is doing or technology. So nothing is stopping you to learn more. That is what is expected these days as a DevOps team member. Yeah. And regarding the course, any questions? Can I proceed? So let us talk about the course and then give you details. So this is the course we have upcoming batch, which is starting on September 12th. This is a 36 hours course. It goes till October 10th, 9:30 to 1:30 p.m. IST. I'll be the trainer. The online course in which you'll be working with other peers, and you also get in recordings after the course. So this is your module which you're going to learn in here. DevOps certification training course in which you're going to learn lots of tools, Git, Jenkins, Docker, Ansible, overview of AWS, Kubernetes, and Nagios. And you will do all the labs using the AWS account because each one has some challenges because all working from home of your office laptop. So we cannot install. The reason we are making it easier wherein you can use your AWS free account and you can do all the labs. And 36 hours of virtual live training, and you get in projects, and every my training would consider, for example, 70% would be practicals, 30% would be theory. So you get in lab PDF documents, you get in some videos, you also get in lab slides which for you all, and this is what we're going to learn. Let me show you the details of the course. This is the certificate. Once you complete the project and you get a certificate from StarAgile Certificate Achievement, it also depends on did you attend most of the classes. So you're expected to attend most of the classes, almost 90%, 100% classes. You're expected. And once you complete the course successfully along with the project, you get a certificate from StarAgile that you complete the course. And this is a course content. So this is a course content. We start with DevOps essentials. We go still deep dive into why DevOps, what is DevOps, difference between Agile and DevOps, cycle, and various tools in very brief. We also talk about introduction to virtualization and cloud computing, the first module. Later, continuous development, in which you learn about what is version control systems. What are the various tools, not only Git, you have TFS, you have central version tools like SVN. What difference between a central version and a distributed version control system? And we deep dive into what is Git, how to install Git, how to add in your project files, how to do branching, things. This is all on your local. How do you push it to central repository wherein you can share with the team members? You want to use like GitHub. So we'll see how to integrate the Git and GitHub together in their module 2. Module 3 is once you created your code, how do you do a compile of it? That is what the build is all about. How do you compile to a specific format like jar format or EJB format? So we'll understand first about what are build tools, and we will learn about Maven. What is Maven? How to work with Maven? How to install Maven? The project file is called as project object model. How to work with this? Then we go into basics of Dockers first because we want to use Dockers for Jenkins. So we learn about what is container, why containers, and difference between VMs and containers. Why do you want to use containers? Architecture of Dockers, how to pull images, how to push images to Docker Hub is into repository. Then it will be your Jenkins, which is a continuous integration. So integration is if someone commits the code like to central repository like GitHub or Bitbucket, how can you can do a test immediately? You don't want the test to be done on the end of the day because you cannot troubleshoot where the code error went. So you want to auto build immediately. This is where Jenkins comes in. The reason is continuous integration. We learn about what is Jenkins, how does it work, work architecture, how to install using containers, how to install using VMs or WAR files, how to manage Jenkins, how to create build jobs, pipelines. For example, in Jenkins, you'll do at least 8 labs. So this one will have 2 labs, this one will 1 lab, this 3 labs. For everything, you're going to have labs. For each and every concept, you're going to do labs. And after your Jenkins, you'll go learn about your continuous testing, which is your functional testing. You also would be doing non-functional testing, depends on the time. So this JUnit, brief about Selenium, this will be covered, the labs. Then deep dive into Dockers, in which you create your own images using Dockerfile, how to create multi-container, working with Docker networking, and Docker orchestration. Once you learn this, learn about Kubernetes, which is not a Docker platform, it is an open source platform. You can manage containers platforms or other platforms like RKT, how we work with your Kubernetes. And Chef, so your configuration management tool. So Chef, we are not exactly going to work with Ruby DSL language because Ruby DSL language is not being used much. We are going to learn how to work with AWS OpsWorks, which is a managed service, wherein you can easily work with Chef and Puppet. In the end, modules would be, again, we're going to Ansible, we're going to learn, and Magios monitoring. And end, we'll talk about how can you manage these, what you did on-prem, how can you start using that on cloud specific, like code commit related, easy, which is equivalent to your GitHub. Build is equivalent to your Maven, and this is equivalent to your Jenkins. And how can you deploy your infra or the resources easily CloudFormation, Terraform. This is what is it. And we'll end up by this for everyone, not only for IT professionals, but everyone. And you have questions in here, you can ask and you can register anytime with us. This is the cost as of now. You can register in here and that is service. This is all of the program. Any questions? Any questions, team? So lots of testimonials are received. So StarAgile is, they were initially more into Agile. And these days, last, I think 2 or 3 years, they are also much in DevOps. Lots of appreciations from these were my last team. They appreciated about the StarAgile and my feedbacks and how effective was the training for us, for them. And there's the duration, and you get a practical experience. For each and every module, you get an assignment. I'll also give you assignments after the course. Lifetime access of recordings and the slides, 100% money back guarantee. And we provide a WhatsApp group in which you can post your questions regarding any recordings problems or technical queries you have. You can post your questions and I'll be part of the group and I'll be answering. Along with that, you also get an experience certificate from StarAgile. Yes, this is all about my course. This thing, you can ask questions in here.